Hello and welcome. This is rooflemonger, my friends. It is that time. It is patch time for Guilty Gear Strive. So we have our newly added character, Lucy from Cyberpunk, and on top of being a fully fleshed out character, also we got hell of Cyberpunk music added to the game as well. So if you're a big Cyberpunk Edge Runners fan, I'm sure you're gonna have a lot of fun with this. And Lucy's a pretty fun character too. But not to take away from Lucy, but you know, the patch is bigger than just Lucy. So we have changes for basically the entire roster. Some bigger, some smaller, some more significant, some just kind of, oh, that's neat, I guess, right? And besides just changes for the roster as a whole, and don't worry, we'll have timestamps so you can skip forward to whatever makes sense for you. Give a like for timestamps, thank you very much. We do have like system level changes that affect everyone in the game. Stuff like YRC changes, Risc changes, all that kind of stuff. And also we have just new features like, hey, ranked. You play ranked in a fighting game? Yeah, like I know the game's been out for like 40 years or whatever now, but we now have ranked online play. And we got a whole ranked system going on. We got all sorts of quality of life, all sorts of features. Like, hey, we have Wi-Fi indicators now. Like a modern fighting game. What a concept, right? There's tons of features. There's tons of just quality of life things. And of course, you know, all sorts of like tweaks and bug fixes as well. When it comes to like smaller things like tweak and bug fixes, that's not really in the purview of this video. So if you need to know every single change, please check the video description, as we will have all that just linked there. You can just check out the link and just, okay, it's all there for you. Otherwise, we're going to be covering the more pertinent stuff here, kind of the big hitters of the patch. And once again, there's gonna be a lot of it. So before we get to the character specific stuff, let's talk the universal systems mechanic stuff, because there's some pretty big changes going on here. So now let's talk some of the system changes here. And again, this is universal. So one, let's take staggers. You might notice, hey, wait a second, where's the little stagger button? I know that little stagger button. I've seen it before. Oh, well, it's gone. So stagger now, there's no more hit the button, escape stagger timing. It is just always the fastest possible timing, no matter what, no matter who you are. With this in mind, quite a few characters have new moves that stagger that did not stagger before. But yeah, so the concept of staggered, you just now always get the fastest break. So if you relied on people having very slow timing, you do not get to do that anymore. But yeah, we'll get to it as we cover the various characters, but just certain characters now have stagger effects added to their moves. But since there's more staggers on the game now, just assume everyone always has the fastest possible stagger break. So there's no more button press, universal across the board. Now, the next change, and this is a fairly significant one, is to the Risc system. You know, Risc is the bar that builds up as you keep blocking, right? And then if you block too much, then you can cash out the Risc and get more damage overall. So the big change here is this, and like they got fancy graphs and everything to show you, but effectively this is what the change means. So Risc no longer is affected by combo scaling. Before, like the more hits you would get in a combo, it would affect the combo scaling, so each hit would scale either less or not scale at all, leading to pretty high combo damage. It no longer works in that exact way. Like the chart has a combo specifically to use here, and you know, everyone has different damage modifiers and defense and all that. But if we use this, say, against Kai, like this combo specifically, when we start 50% Risc, would do 171. Under the old patches, it would do like well over 200, because the initial hits wouldn't be scaled for combo ability at all, right? So, but now the difference is, it's not the combo scaling, is the Risc affects the character's defense value. So they'll take more damage on like a singular hit. And then of course it'll scale as the Risc goes down, right? So this means this rewards single pokes, like Soul Stand S right here, right? That does 36 by itself. Against Kai normally it'd be 27, right? And if you had under the old rules, because combo scaling, under the old rules it wouldn't have any effect, it would still be 27 regardless, right? But now basically you get bonus damage and then scales downwards versus the combo scales less. So generally speaking, at medium Risc, your combos will do less overall damage. But in medium Risc situations, a single poke that gets through might do a lot more damage overall. And once again, going by the chart, at 100% risk, it's kind of the same regardless, so it works out. But basically, it rewards combos less, singles hits more. So pokes matter more, because you'll get a reward off a single poke if you got a good amount of risk on you, versus just getting the big combo. Now let me give you a completely fair and unbiased example on how this works. Alright, so the risk is jacked up here. Let's look at what the damage will say now that we're getting more rewards on single pokes. Oh, there we go, right? That's completely fair and honest and not misleading in any way. But yeah, so that's the idea. It's basically, you crank up the risk, combos might do a little bit less overall unless the risk is really high, but your pokes and single hits will matter a lot more. So that's kind of where they're kind of shifting the game to focus on. So you don't always got to get the big combo. Sometimes if the risk is cranked up, maybe one big hit might be enough. Keep in mind, all characters have their own unique defense values as well, so it's different character to character. But it's stated here in the patch notes, at maximum risk, which we have right now, their defense, whatever it may be, is lowered in half. And everything will get more damage, including things like throws. Although certain moves like, you know, a Potemkin bust, like certain command grabs, all that, they'll have like kind of caps placed on their power. And same thing with certain supers and invincible moves. But that's sort of where we're at. Also, risk will drain slightly slower than it did before as well, so it's a little bit more dangerous that way. Another universal change is how the yellow Roman cancel works. That's Roman canceling when you're blocking. And so now we have a lot more pushback. See here, we're a good deals away. So before, you were not nearly as far back, and if you got YRC'd on, generally the defender, the person who initiated the YRC, might be able to get like some sort of like strike throw mix up on you. And now it's a bit further away, to say the least. So here's an example we already showed on the channel, so you can see somewhat of a comparison on how it works. And yeah, it's a good deal further away, as you can see. Also, before, you could not YRC a move that counts as a guard crush, and now you can. So guard crushes are still strong, but you're able to at least YRC out of them, which makes pressure from like certain characters like say Goldlewis a lot less scary, because you can at least say get off me if you have the meter. Another pretty big change is most of the supers in the game now, especially those with any kind of invulnerability, if you do them now, the frame you press the button is the frame they take their super. So I do this here and you can see like the little flower for Faust. And as soon as that happens, the super is spent. What does that mean? Well, some characters, Faust is a good example, where you could do the super and immediately like purple YRC out of it, and you would only spend the purple YRC, and that's it. But you would still have those first few invulnerability frames, and the cancel for free, if you will, so it only takes half meter. So generally now, the idea is, if you want invincible startup, you have to spend 100% of your meter. Otherwise, you got to let the move rock. So once again, this is almost every invincible super in the game. It's basically the technique of getting the invuln frames, canceling out of them, and getting potentially a bigger punch than the super. It's still there, but it's going to cost you now, basically. Otherwise, the tech is untouched. It's just going to cost you a bit more. Now, another pretty big change that's across the board is to the Wild Assault. So Wild Assault was one of the biggest deals when it was added because, you know, it fundamentally changed the game. Gave everyone new offense, new combos, new everything. Like, there was a lot going on. And there's 3 colors. There's red, blue, and white Wild Assault. And depending on your character, you might have a different kind, and they do different things. And all 3 of the Wild Assaults have been changed. So our newcomer Lucy, she has a blue Wild Assault. And blue Wild Assault was specifically always really good at forcing people on defense. Because, like, no matter what, if it got blocked at all, you're turbo plus on block, and also it causes a guard crush in and of itself, right? So this was existing to force pressure. And if you actually got the hit, well, great, I guess. Like, good for you. But, you know, it was never meant to be the combo monkey Wild Assault, right? So that's the nerf for this. So for blue Wild Assault specifically, you'll now have increased combo scaling. So you can still get combos, just they won't do as much damage as they did before unless you hit the full charge version. The full charge version is unchanged. So it's just the quick version that will have some combo scaling added to it. Now conversely, red or orange, I suppose, is the combo monkey one. Like, by design meant to be comboed into, because it's a lot quicker than the other ones. The startup's a lot faster. By design, you're meant to combo into it. So here's the big change. Unlike, say, the blue one, you know, this is not plus on block, and wildly so, right? This is negative on block. And the nerf here is you can no longer cancel this on block. This is the combo Wild Assault, and it, like, they want you to remain the combo Wild Assault. Not just you do it and then keep pressuring them once they blocked, right? So if this gets blocked, your turn's over, end of story. Now that said, it's a frame safer on block. It used to be -4 if you never canceled it. It's now -3, so there's that, I guess. But otherwise, yeah, you cannot cancel this on block. But otherwise, if you use it for its intended use of combos, completely unchanged. And there's White Wild Assault, which is the invincibility one. It has strike and throw invincibility on it, right? After, I think it's frame 9. We can't use it as a wake up, but yeah. So this one here, what's the nerf? You can no longer Roman cancel it. So on block, doesn't matter. On hit, no conversions. It's now just the invincible move it's meant to be. That's it. You know, the characters that have it generally are not the strong defensive characters. You know, like Goldlewis has it, Bedman, Nagoriyuki, like they're the big slow characters, right? This is meant to be the reward in and of itself. And now since you cannot Roman cancel afterwards, it is the reward in and of itself. So all Wild Assaults are still plenty good. Just the edge has been filed off them just a little bit. Now let's get into the character specifics. Let's start with our boy Soul Badguy here. So really not too much other than, well, Crouch S. So Crouch S, here's what it looked like before on counter hit. And it's different now. So if you hit Crouch S with a counter, it's now a stagger. So what does that mean? So besides, you know, hey, it's counter, get more damage. Stagger lasts longer. So stay Night Raid Vortex, right? Normally, before, counter hit into charged Night Raid Vortex would not work. Here, that is now a natural combo. So if you toss out a Crouch S and you see that counter hit logo, you can just go now get charged Night Rage Vortex, get a full combo, and that's certainly better than it was before. Also, it won't really matter much, but because it is a stagger now, staggers allow for dumb things like you can combo into grabs. So technically you can run up and dunk them and it would be a 2-hit combo. So probably not the most optimal combo, but if you need style points, that's the way to go about it. And speaking of the command grab is no longer special cancelable. So you can't use like any normal special cancelable and go into it. You'll just get like any other move with the right buffer. So use wildly, use at your discretion, I guess. I think it's just mostly there to stop people from mashing accidentally. But there you go. Yeah, that's it. Now Kai. Kai's got a bunch of interesting changes. Let's start with a fun one. It's boring on paper, but like it works. Trust me. Crouch S. Crouch S, the hitbox is just ever so slightly better. But the big deal here is it also pushes back less. What does that mean? Well, let's take an example here from before the patch. So before, if you went for max range Crouch S and tried to go, you know, chain into heavy slash, it wasn't gonna work because you just weren't allowed to do that at max range. You could be closer, sure, but not from that far away. Now, if the move is able to connect at all, it'll always go into heavy slash because it pushes back less far than it did before. So now you always have at least some form of reliable offense when it comes to that move. So that's nice. Also nice is the change to Stun Dipper. So Stun Dipper, once again, we'll look at some old footage. Stun Dipper was very dependent on where you hit it. If you hit it from further away later in the active frames, yeah, it would combo. But if you hit it very up close, well, it wasn't a combo at all. Now, Stun Dipper is a combo no matter what, no matter where you are in relation to the enemy, because the first hit pops them up now. It's a launcher, effectively. Also, more Stun Dipper buffs, if they're in the shock state at all, the second hit, you're not allowed to roll out anymore. So before, they would do a tech roll, right? Now, it's effectively a hard knockdown. So the knockdown's longer and they're stuck in place. That's really strong. So, since they're knocked down longer and they can't move after the fact, that means we can set up our good friend, the heavy projectile, and just do whatever you kind of want to do. Like, at actual bare minimum, they just kind of have to wake up into it and you can just charge after the fact. I'm very sure in this new scenario here, there's all sorts of like high-low mix-ups you can go for if you want to RC it, or like, I'll leave that to you, but just on its face, new Oki, a very, very powerful. May some smaller changes, but some good quality of life. Like say Stand S, big boy button here. So Stand S has less pushback on hit, which means now it can always go into slash dolphin. In the previous build at max range, you might whiff, but now it doesn't really matter. If you hit at any range at all, it's always going to be a natural 2-hit combo. Also, she's another character like some of the other ones, like we mentioned Soul earlier. So Crouch S is now a stagger on counter hit, means more overall just stun, which means you can do tricky combos like this, where I can do it, and like, yeah, I could go for Dolphin, right? Like, sure, right, whatever. But I can do Dolphin cancel, and then, because the stagger has more recovery, I could say go into Crouch Light Kick, into Sweep, and then do whatever combo I want to do. I can get more overall damage. Like, it's up to you how inventive you want to be on it, but you can do it. Also, once again, because it's a stagger, and this will matter how close you are when you're doing it, but this will combo into her command grab as well, because it's a stagger, and staggers let you combo into command grabs. So there's some interesting opportunities going on here for May. So Axl's got some interesting changes. One of them, the move Snail, no longer allows you to tech. So it is a hard knockdown. So before they would just hit the ground, they'd roll back right away. Now, no. You are stuck in place. So if you're looking for quick ODGs, especially from further away, now it's possible. Or if you're looking to pressure, now you have actual pressure after the fact. And the other big one is 6K. Forward kick, this guy here, has a very different hit effect. So you might remember this from before. It no longer works that way now, because now you go flying across the effing screen in a big tumble. And like, that's cool, but what do we get off of it? So this tumble is not like a tech tumble, right? This is an off the ground okay state. So say moves like Winter Manus, you know how it starts very far away, comes back in, right? Well, if you're already far out, well, it's actually a perfect candidate to bring you right back in now, isn't it? And it's a baby combo to be sure, but just an example, this totally works. So combo ability, you got some new tricks working for you, and that's just mid-screen. It also causes a state in the corner, and you might remember a while back he got an all-new move, the Tornado move, right? Well, with the tumble, you can combo right into the full charge version of the move. And Lord knows, I do not have the optimal combos for a character like Axl, but you can do some silly stuff, is what I'm trying to say. So, try it out for yourself. Like, it's not what I was expecting Axl would get, but hey, take what you can get. Okay, so Chipp is quick and dirty. There's really only one change, and that's to his sweep. And as per the wording of the change, the hurt box on the sweep, like the part you can hit him, is lower to the ground. The idea that they give is he's supposed to be able to low profile other moves in neutral, and because, he has a decent counter hit from the sweep, because it like launches him up, right? You can get good combos. Pretty much every move I could think of that he might be up against in neutral, it still didn't go underneath it. So I don't know. Once again, I'm no Chipp player, right? Test it for yourself. There's got to be something important he can now go under. But that's the idea. And besides that, it's basically all bug fixes. Now, here we are on Potemkin. So Potemkin, he did the biggest crime any game character could commit. He was a big character who dared to be good. Every other fighting game has good characters, and it's never a problem. It's only a problem if you're big. And then if you're big, then somehow it's a war crime. That's how it works in every fighting game. I never got it, but that's how it is. So, did they kill Potemkin? And I don't think so. Like, he definitely got nerfed, for sure. But is he dead? Nah, I don't buy that. So, one of the things that changed for him out of the gate is his defense value is different specifically. So, he had a 0.87 defense value. It's now 0.91, which means he'll take overall more damage. So, older version of the game versus the current build. And it's not a lot more for the same combo, but he is taking more damage. So that is something. Now, something more of a substance than that was the old boy Slide Head. So Slide Head, what's the nerf? Slide Head no longer has armor, which definitely curtails its effectiveness, because now you cannot use it to just blow past whatever and get the knockdown from full screen or wherever you want to do it, right? So it not being armored, that's, I think, a pretty substantive nerf, for sure. Does it remove all the use from the move? No. But does it remove a lot of the use from the move? I would say yes on that front. Also, Hammerfall. So Hammerfall and Hammerfall break, very important part of his offense. And as you're seeing here, this is the old footage here. So you notice like full screen, it would go, well, full screen, right? And that don't work that way no more. So now have a notice here, full screen, he will not go full screen quite. So the idea here is he won't go as far, and he also doesn't quite go as fast. He travels a little bit slower, which the idea here is it affects, say, his post-knockdown pressure, his Oki, after Potemkin Buster. If you're just going for like the old classic stuff, like, okay, do this, do that break, and then whoops, no, not so much. So if you do that and Hammerfall break, then try to get like close S or something like that, they're going to be able to jab you out in time, for the most part. Now, if you're doing stuff that's not quite as slow, then hey, maybe you'll do better, right? Like crouch light kick, and you can still pressure him after the fact. You can still do like crouch light kick into sweep or something like that and go from there. Maybe it's not as good. And maybe you can do something with like Kara Hammerfall cancel, like do forward kick and then cancel that in a Hammerfall. Maybe it'll give you a bit more speed. I don't know. But basically, you'll still get the knockdown, you'll still get pressure, but the idea is the pressure won't be as good. Now, let's keep the train going. Mega Fist is slower. It's now 28 frames. Used to be 25, so 3 frames slower, and also has 3 more frames of landing recovery. Although it doesn't change the block frame data. So it's the same on block. But the idea is if it whiffs, then he has more landing recovery. But here's a buff. So it's been changed on how it gets the knockdown. So if it bops them, they're actually launched quite a bit higher up, and you can actually get some combo ability after the fact now. So not everything's a nerf, basically. Like that's, well, okay, startup's a nerf, recovery's a nerf, but there's a buff on top of the nerfs. Also, Flick is now a frame faster. It used to be 19 frame startup. It is now 18 frame startup. Now, sadly, shoulder into Flick is still not a true block string, but it's tighter by a frame, I guess. So maybe if they're not like, you know, if they're trying to 6P or I don't know, but like it's a little tighter. It's a frame faster. Take what you can get, right? That's a buff. So is Potemkin worse overall? Absolutely, for sure. But is he dead? I don't know. Like certainly he's hurting. He's suffering a bit, right? But I don't think he's unplayable. And for like Buster Oki, like I know there's gonna like just the fact that like you can just do crouch light kick or whatever and still win. You still get pressure after the fact, and there might be ways to gimmick it where you might be able to get the old pressure or something close to the old pressure back. Anyways, we'll see. So in Soul Calibur parlance, he's injured, but the soul still burns. Faust, another interesting choice. A big one here is just Stand S. So Stand S, this is the older build of the game. Stand S at max range had severe difficulty going into crouching heavy slash. And now it has less knockback on that initial hit. So generally at most ranges, you will be able to combo into crouching heavy slash, like kind of no matter what. At like the absolute most pixel perfect range, it'll still just barely miss sometimes. And even then, actually, I still got it there. I've gotten the whiff once or twice, but most of the time it's actually just going to be a reliable string now. And that's really strong quality of life. It just helps out his poke game quite a bit. Also, so forward heavy slash no longer is a stagger. It is now just a bounce. So it doesn't matter. It could be point blank, could be further. It just always bounces now. So as a poke, again here, the poking game is getting stronger. The bounce is the kind of bounce where like even kind of at max range, I can always go into mix right away. Like I'm not getting all of it, but I can always get some of it, right? And that makes it some pretty tasty damage all in all. And also, mix, mix, mix. They changed it so if you're holding down back on the final hit, it'll make them bounce just a little bit closer than before. So just making it more reliable to get like close S or whatever combo ability you want to get after the fact. So something like this can get some teeth to it, eh? Because I can keep the juggle going. So his full screen presence is getting pretty all right. Now, that said, you know, there's stuff with the stagger that was pretty good. And you're losing all of that. So buff and a nerf, I guess you could fairly argue. And obviously we talked about the universal changes, where if you do like a super and purple RC it, you're going to spend 100% of your meter no matter what. He was kind of the best example of that. And now it no longer, like, you'll still get it, but it takes 100% of your meter instead of 50%. So that sucks. But overall, I think it's a fairly interesting batch of changes for the character. Now, Millia's got some fun stuff. So Artemis, this was her new move added a while ago here. I always just call this the scraw kick because it's got a big old bird leg on it. So, it's not a stagger move anymore. It just bounces you. Just straight up. It just bounces you. And at minimum, with nothing else mid-screen, you can toss like slash top and get an extra hit in. Obviously, you know, with counter hits or whatever, you can get more stuff. Another big change is they changed the hurt box on it. So now the hurt box is much higher up. So you can actually, like, as it would look like, go over moves and smoke them on the other end of things. And if you can get that counter hit, then you can do a lot of fun things with it, right? So, like, it's just a better as a counter poke, better as, like, a move. It's completely safe on block, like, you know, safe on block launchers. Sure, we love those. So just an interesting change, but here's the real interesting change. So tandem top, specifically slash version. So reduced horizontal blowback. So, like, you know, if you're doing a combo, they'll go less far away. And here's where it matters. So let me show you an example from the older build of the game. And you can see here, I can get my hits in. Like, I can get a hit afterwards, but it's not like a big fancy combo. But now, and no, I don't need a counter hit or anything fancy like that. Oh, what's that? I was close enough to get another close S. Get that double hitting, right? What was that? So once again, less blowback to push back less far. I'm using the command dash and the slash version of top after that. And it leaves me close enough to get that follow-up. And, like, I don't know, that seems all right. Like, obviously it's very momentum based. You need the dash, the command dash, and canceling it into pinwheel to keep it going here, going to your top. But, like, the fact that you're closer, it means you can keep getting close S after close S after close S. So, like, combo ability wise, there's some stuff there. I think that kind of works. So, like, the Millia changes, not a lot of changes, but, like, what's there? Go for it. So Zato, things are looking up for Zato in this patch. A big one is the meter for Eddie, when it's drained up, refills a good deal faster. So here it is on the current build. Here it is, hopefully I'm showing this right now, on the older build. And we have that, and now hopefully we're overlaying them against each other so you can see the comparison. So as you can see, in the new current build, it charges substantially faster. It's a good amount faster. So the life bar for the Eddie summon, like, is literally the life of the character. The more you can have out, the more you can do stuff with them, the better it gets. Like, that's just straight buff. So another change he has is the reflect. So reflect, like, you know, it does what it's supposed to do, except there's a lot of moves in the game now that you can't reflect, like beams and stuff, right? So now, against moves that are, you know, not terribly reflectable, he is now otherwise projectile invincible while doing the reflect move. So yeah, it'd still be better to reflect them, but at least it gives the move some kind of purpose against the characters that do not have traditionally reflectable projectiles. So that's another nice little quality of life. And stuff like Oppose, which has always been one of his best moves, Oppose now starts a frame faster. Also now on hit, it floats higher and leaves them closer on hit. So, like, here's the old build, so you can see Oppose from before. Here's the Oppose from now, and yeah, so they're closer and they're higher. So that's really nice. And of course, I'm burying the lead here. He's got an all-new move, and it's a good move. So, quarter circle back punch, and he summons a little Eddie Ball. Little Eddie Ball will, you know, follow you around wherever you are. It'll very slowly drain the Eddie gauge. But then you hit any of your buttons, and then Eddie Ball goes to the ground. And he goes to the ground as a summoned Eddie. So Punch just drops it right in front of you. Slash goes out further, and notice, okay, that's some distance there, right? Kick way across the screen, and Heavy Slash just dumps him out again, right? And oh, wait, wait a second. Now, we got the old sandwich going here. That's kind of what you're always aiming for, is to get the enemy stuck between you and Eddie. So now you can just kind of take Eddie and just dump him. And like, you don't need to worry about the positioning no more. No more like, oh, I'm just gonna sick of this, I'm just gonna send out the frog and then try to brute force it. You can like make it a thing in and of it yourself, right? So you can just pick him up, then dump him somewhere else. And this probably will be a very big deal for him. Because once again, the whole thing of Eddie is you want the pincer. You want to get him stuck between you two. And that's like where a lot of your best stuff goes down. And now you can just pick him up and dump him and force the issue on the matter. And I think that's really strong. And you take that with the fact, you know, like oppose is better. Like launches higher, easier combos. His bar, when it's empty, regenerates like roughly 30% faster. I think things are looking up for Zato in this patch. Okay, so I got no way to dress this up here. Ramlethal basically got shot. Just start at the start. So jump Heavy Slash. Notice how that don't hit? Notice how that's not hitting? Notice how, okay, that one hit, to be fair. But the thing is, this used to have like almost 30 active frames. It's now 6 active frames. Like 6 active frames is not bad for a move, but it's pretty bad when you're used to 30. Here's what it used to look like. You could just basically jump, hit the button, and it would just hit before you hit the ground, right? Like if the move was roughly in contact with the enemy, it would connect. So yeah, that don't work that way no more. On top of that, it also has 6 more frames of landing recovery. So they took the move and took it out behind the shed. And that's definitely not the only move they did that too. So how about the rock move? Remember this one here? Technically a new move. It's not new anymore, I guess. All the moves that aren't there at launch are new to me still. So if you remember the pre-patch build of the game, this stuff used to be plus on block. And you know, oh hey, big sort of neutral skip, like it doesn't really matter where you are, move, plus on block, and like I got these big ram buttons, sure, why not, right? So now, decidedly not plus on block anymore. It's now negative on block. And negative on block's not as good as plus on block. Like, I don't know how to tell you. Especially because it can bring you in very dangerous range of them being able to hit buttons on you too, with how close it brings you. Now, to be fair, I suppose it's a little faster. It's now 28 frame startup. It used to be 31, and that does matter. Heavy sword toss into rock will be actually a combo. So it'll hit him at the initial bounce, and then bounce him into the sword explosion. And from there, hey, Bob's your uncle. Do whatever you want to do, right? So it will give you new combo routing, but like the main use of the move in neutral is Dunzo. And like you don't even get combos after it anymore either. Like you can't hit anything after the fact. So it's mostly dead as a move in neutral. Okay, so we're in Dallas, Texas. You're in the book depository. What's the next shot coming at Ramlethal? So sword tosses, since we mentioned them, both of them are less advantage on block. So slash before the explosion is now plus 20, used to be plus 30. Heavy before the explosion is now plus 23, used to be plus 33. So they're both just 10 frames less of advantage. Like, it's still hell of advantage, don't get me wrong, right? But it's still less advantage. Also, the explosion for the sword tosses. The explosion, while it still explodes, the explosions are out there for less time. They have less active frames overall. So they have 10 active frames instead of 15 active frames. So it's harder for them to cover all sorts of like various options. So basically everything with the sword toss, the pressure, the follow-up, like everything is kind of worse across the board. Air flip is no longer advantage on block. That's another big nerf. So we're eating nerf. We need a ray of sunshine. So we got something for you. And admittedly, this is not a small deal. This is a fairly big deal. Sweep. Sweep got a pretty massive range increase. So here's the older build of the game. You can see me try to struggle, try as my might. If I'm any kind of distance away, I am not connecting with that sweep. It just ain't gonna work. And now, sweep works. Like, it just works. It will miss from like absolute max crouch kick range. But otherwise, as long as you're not on that like pixel perfect moment, it's always gonna work. And that's not nothing, right? That kind of helps out a good deal. So this being a more reliable starter, like, you know, most of the rest of the cast has, is nice for her. Is it worth literally every other nerf? Probably not. But you takes what you can get. And for Ram, it's a lot of nerfs and that. So Leo is kind of short and sweet. Kind of nerfs, but, well, you be the judge. So flash kick, heavy flash kick. I know it's not called flash kick, but bear with me. So now the heavy version, they can tech now. They will roll instead of just being in a hard knockdown state. So that is decidedly a bit of a nerf. Also a bit of nerf is stance heavy slash. So stance heavy slash on block specifically now pushes back a good deal further. Before, you were kind of left like right beside them. Now, not so much. So hopefully I'm doing comparison here. So here it is as it currently stands. And here it is kind of side by side. And you can see here, like, yeah, so the pushback is a good deal more substantive. And you can't necessarily get all the same moves you would, especially if you hit from, say, not even point blank away, right? So what about some buffs? We do got one. Sweep. So Sweep, you are now left a good deal closer than you were before. At minimum, you're always able to get, like, say, crouch slash as an OTG hit. Before, that would not have happened. You were dumped out a good deal further away. It also means that more maximum ranges of the sweep, because, you know, it has a good deal of range, right? You will always be able to get the cortical forward heavy slash cross up, no matter what. You're always able to get it and then just kind of be in stance directly on top of them in their face. So if you're looking for something a bit more standard, the option's there. But if you're looking to make sure you can always get that pressure, well, then the option is also there, right? So that is definitely absolutely a buff that works for him. And that said, that's about it. He's not changed much overall. Now, Nagoriyuki, how about a nerf and a buff? A nerf and a buff. So, one, Beyblade is no longer a low. Yes, that means you can block it standing now. So no more just catching someone randomly walking backwards. No more doing DP and then like forcing like a semi 50-50. Also, by the way, the second hit window now is not as long. It's been nerfed a little bit, so you have less time to cancel the second hit follow-up, whatever it may be. But yeah, so Beyblade's not a low. Oh my god, Nagoriyuki's dead. No, he's not dead. He's fine. He's fine. I remember when they turned this into a low, I'm like, that's the stupidest buff I've ever seen. So we're just returning to normalcy now. And he's getting something in exchange for it as well. So stand, heavy slash. This guy here. If you look at the old build, notice the knockback. Okay, you know, knocked him back a good ways. Now notice how it is now. Oh. You're not going very far at all now, are you, on the new build? In fact, on the new build, you can just kind of do this, teleport, and you're directly on top of them. And, like, you can beat buttons they do, like, you can be advantage. So, if you land just a heavy slash, that can be a reward in and of itself. Just teleport, and you're directly on top of them. And that's not bad at all. That's actually, incentivizes the poke. Remember, he's Mr. One-Shot, right? And with the Risc Changes, the pokes get a lot more valuable. Like, so, that's pretty cool. I dig it. So next up, we have Giovanna. So it's really only the one change, but it's a pretty good change. So you may remember she had a move here, Chave, I'm never sure how to pronounce that, but it's like a command dash, and you can power up your variant moves for it. And then we got the old classic Sepultura kick move here, and this is the older build of the game. You can do the command dash and supercharge the move from it, you know, hey, get a better version of it, all that fun stuff. But now, have a gander. Oh, that's a good deal quicker startup, isn't it? In fact, it's a good deal faster than it used to be. So the startup on the Sepultura used to be 13 frames. And off this now, it's 5 frames. So it's more than twice as fast. Also, as a fun added bonus, if I can get the block here, they also made it safer on block. So now, even if it's literally point blank, it's -3. It used to be -5 point blank. So that's really, really good. So why is this a thing? So, you know, you want to use your buttons as pokes and all that kind of stuff, right? And she has stand heavy slash, which is pretty good. The thing is, you know, at max range, it could be suspect, but this will always be a natural combo now if you do it even at max range. So that's really cool. That's nice. Also on the fact that the move is faster startup, it moves forward faster as well. It's better on block. Also, the actual knockback of the move is better as well. So they're closer to you when you knock them down with the powered up Chave version of Sepultura. So now, pretty much regardless of distance, you can always get some decent little pressure, decent little offense going. You know, Geo is rush down, rush down, rush down, and this just makes her life easier. That's really kind of the only change. There's some specific mechanics of like her defense values are different because like they had to rework how Risc works, but like can't really show that in the video. It's in the patch notes. That's about it, but it's a cool one. So hey, thumbs up. So Anji is kind of like, I don't even. So like, what if they nerf something and then gave a buff that like directly contradicts the nerf, right? So let's talk about it. So, hey, Anji has spin to win, right? And, you know, you can spin through things. And one of his new moves that was added some time ago was Fish Slap. And Fish Slap is annoying because as soon as he spins, he can Fish Slap you and it can bounce you. And if he gets you, then afterwards he can give you a little bit of a bop just to send you on your way, right? And the thing about it that was annoying was it was advantage on block. So what do? Well, it's no longer advantage on block. It's negative on block. So that's sort of the thing. So we went from, you know, oppressive move that if he gets you, it's annoying, and he can often get you because he can do it off any spin he does. If he successfully evades a move, and even if you block, okay, well, it's still his turn. So annoying, 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 but now, ideally not as annoying because it's not his turn anymore, right? So he can't abuse non-stop plus frames. So the idea there, okay, I get it, sure. By the way, it's -2. This used to be +11. So it was very obnoxious, right? Very, very obnoxious. So that's a pretty big nerf, all things told. So, okay, that's a nerf. We got to make up for a nerf, right? How about some buffs? Okay, well, how about Crouch Heavy Slash? So Crouch Heavy Slash now knocks back less. So it's actually easier for him to get like various follow-ups from it if it connects. Okay, that's nice. Oh, and by the way, it used to be -4 on block. Is now +6 on block. So, if you were worried about Anji having annoying advantage frames, he now has a plus on block launcher. Just FYI, yeah. So, you know, we love our combo launchers to be advantage on block, right? And, you know, +6, that's a pretty good number to be because, you know, you ain't challenging them. If you block, you better believe you're going to stay blocking after that. So yeah, we went from one annoying plus on block move to he's got another plus on block move that launches you on regular hit. Doesn't need counter hit or anything. So it is a little bit slower. It's 27 frames to startup now from 22. That's something, I guess. But yeah, so if the idea was to remove his annoying plus on block pressure, they misunderstood the assignment on that one. Because now he has hyper oppressive launcher, meterless launcher plus on block normal. So, yeah, Anji Mito, folks. So, interesting changes. One, they changed up her Heavy Slash. So here's Heavy Slash as you remember it. And now, here's the new Heavy Slash. She will actively move forward while doing it. And yes, it will hit from round start, specifically. So besides just making the move, quite a bit further, actually hits from a little bit past round start as well, right? They're using like Stand Slash as a poke. You're more likely to connect. It's not a guarantee. It actually has quite a few active frames. So if you don't hit on those first few active frames, it will not be a natural combo. But you can, and just having more range doesn't hurt in and of itself. And they changed up Mad Love Agitato, if that's how you pronounce it here. The new move that was added some time ago. So they made it basically more of a sledgehammer. So the idea here is the move, the concept of the move is still the same, right? It's annoying because it's quite advantage on hit. And if you get hit, at all, then you get popped. But the thing is now, so they made that part better. So if it connects, it actually now will launch higher and they'll be closer to you from that launcher. In fact, with the new launch, you can use a new and improved heavy slash to balance them and combo there if you want to try that as a new routing. But yeah, so if it hits, it's all the better. The thing is, it's now slower. So the startup has been increased by 3 frames specifically. So it used to have a startup of 26 frames and is now a startup of 29 frames. So because it's a bit of a sledgehammer move now, it's going to be easier to like jab her out, like just somehow stop her from connecting and keeping the pressure going. 3 frames on a move that's it's basically almost 30 frames now, right? So it's more reactable. So it's easier to stop her from doing it, but the reward, if you actually land it, it's just a little bit better. That's kind of the idea they're going for there. And otherwise, that's about it for Ino. So Goldlewis, he's another character that had his damage modifier change a little bit, defense modifier. So it's 0.89 to 0.92. That means he'll take a couple pixels more damage at the end of a long combo. We've already shown an example for like Potemkin. It's pretty minuscule, so it's not going to be a mover and shaker in the end, but it is there. Now, what is a mover and shaker is Jump D. This is one of the most ignorant buttons in the game, and it's been, well, not nerfed, because it's not nerfed. In fact, technically the hitbox got buffed. But the active frames was what made it so strong. It was just out there for so long. So now it has 4 active frames from 10. So the active frames got cut more than in half. So like a lot of times you could just jump and do it immediately, and it would just coast you most of the way back to the ground. And like you can still do it to a degree, but now you got to think about your press just a little bit. The hitbox is still, once again, the hitbox got buffed just a little bit, right? But the big abusable thing was how active it was, and now it's more reasonable to deal with as it's more like a regular jumping attack. Another nerf is any air Behemoth Typhoon. Doesn't matter which one it is. It can come in any flavor you want. The grounded hit now, if they land, they will always tech roll now. Before, they would just kind of be on the ground as they were, and now they'll get the tech roll backwards. So they'll get up faster and gain some space from you. So if you're ending combos with this, or just get like a Behemoth Typhoon as like an aerial hit in and of itself, then your pressure, your Oki, like your everything after the fact will not be as strong. So just his jumping offense as a whole is kind of worse now, basically. Like Jump D into Typhoon was a classic. Now, if that connects, like they'll get up quicker and like gain space. Like the situation, it'll still suck to get hit, but they'll be back on their feet a little bit quicker, right? So there's that. So you take some nerfs, you gotta give some buffs, right? Well. So hey, Behemoth Typhoon, you probably heard of it, right? You know, before, back in the day, you'd get a counter hit and you get your regular old counter, but now it's been upgraded to the big boy counter. So if it hits the grounded Behemoth Typhoon as a counter hit, you get the big stuff. So, you know, a bit more screen freeze, a bit more, you know, hit stop, right? You potentially can get all new combo routing. So, potentially damage is going up in some more optimal situations. And it's not a specific nerf, but keep in mind, you know, all Behemoth Typhoons are guard crushes, right? You are now specifically allowed to yellow Roman cancel on a guard crush now. You were not before. So that means they can push you back, right? So that's technically a universal change, but it certainly hurts Goldlewis a bit more than the average character because everything he does is a guard crush, right? That said, though, like it's not like Goldlewis is dead or nothing. Like he'll still be doing okay in my books. Hey, we got Jacko. Jacko, always an interesting character to say the least, right? And it's really only the one change, but boy, howdy, it's a hell of a change. So, you may remember minion self-destruct, right? You can spend your gauge, and the minion will self-destruct in big old explosion. All well and good. Here's the thing, though. So now when the minion explodes... Oh, wait, what? It explodes like twice as fast, basically, as it did before. So specifically, it took 208 frames for an explosion to happen. Now it happens in 118, so it's almost twice as fast. So that's, it makes the countdown a hell of a lot more oppressive, to say the least, right? Because now it's just that much harder to actually get out of it. And of course, you know, it'll still affect you, One other small change is if you reflect, it will defend you from it. Although it'll absorb the explosion, so if it's reflected, it won't save you and not hit them, FYI. Also, when the explosion happens, it'll wait to actually like take the gauge until it actually explodes, unlike before. So that's kinda it. No, Jacko's still hard and weird, and all the way she's hard and weird. But making, you know, the main event minion move, the explosion, make that go off like twice as fast as it did before, that's really strong. Okay, Happy Chaos. Happy Chaos, always scary, right? Is he buffed? Is he nerfed? He's kind of buffed. He's kind of buffed. For one, it's not specifically a him buff, but basic gunshot is effectively buffed. Like any gunshot really specifically, just because of the Risc changes. So like if the Risc is cranked up, a basic gunshot can hurt like hell. Like just a couple of these and like, wait, what? What? Are we playing Call of Duty? And of course the problem is against Happy Chaos, you're kind of always playing Call of Duty, right? So just one-off shots when the Risc starts getting cranked up now under the new changes are going to be kind of messed up. Now besides that, forward S, the range on that got nerfed just a little bit. It has a couple pixels less range. Like, I mean just a couple pixels, but it is technically a nerf. Crouch S, which was a very abusable button and still huge range. The recovery is now much different here. Has a 24 frames of recovery up from 18. And this does change the numbers on block, by the way. So if you just let it rock as it is, it's now -13 on block from -7. So do not do this move without special canceling it, basically. Now, okay, so here's the big change. This is the buff. You may recall Scapegoat, right? So have a look at it before. Pay attention to the health before. So the health before is this much. And now, it takes way less health to do. Like, and the move is pretty much the same, right? So it still has all the same benefits. Just it takes you less health to actually do it. So it makes it a lot more valuable than it did before. Also, in our example before, we did it up close. And now if we do it up close, wait, what? How come it's on the other side of them now? You can now body trap people between yourself, effectively. And like this will like lock people down. They cannot push past, like it's like the regular rules of substitute. You cannot move past the substitute, right? And that's the same if it's behind you. If it's behind you, you're locked behind it. And I know you're thinking, well, hang on a second, rooflemonger. Doesn't this lead to like turbo degenerate setups then? And funny thing about that is, no, yeah, it totally leads to absolute degenerate nonsense, right? Like a basic crouch kick sweep that leaves you in range to lock them down. Like, I can be here. You're now cornered. Like, you can corner anyone, like, anywhere on the screen now, basically, for the cost of just a little bit of life. And, like, yeah, like, that's turbo degenerate. I foresee a lot of nonsense coming from this. Happy Chaos is usually, he's the biggest culprit. He's the biggest villain in the game's history, right? And, I foresee a new villain arc for the boy when something like this is allowed in the game for him. So yeah, pay attention to Happy Chaos. For Baiken, it's kind of quality of life. A little bit of a buff, I guess. A little bit of a nerf, I guess. But one of them here, Crouching Heavy Slash. Specifically, reduce knockback on hit when near the corner. Apparently, just to make situations like this just a bit more viable. Because if you hit like the absolute tip before, that might drop. Now, it'll be less likely to drop, I suppose. Okay. The big nerf, though, is Yozansen. So, everyone knows Tiger Knee Yozansen, very annoying, instant overhead, and of course, all sorts of overhead gimmicks, blah, 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 right? So they're changing the hitbox on it. It specifically states that shrunk hitbox downwards during the first half of the active frames. And I can only see one situation where this is relevant at all. So one of her gimmicks, if you want to call it a gimmick, I don't know, it's perfectly valid, right? But you could do instant air backdash into Yozansen, and it would be like a quick little overhead. And it still works if they're standing, but specifically if they are crouching now with the hitbox change, it will not connect anymore. That is the only situation I can see really where this stops being a thing. Any other situation, like, it still connects. So I think maybe it was to nerf just that. It's not like it was overpowered. It's not like it was super strong or anything. It was in a cute little gimmick, cute little trick. But yeah, other than that, I can't see anything where this hitbox change really affects it. But that said, that's kind of it. So Baiken is mostly the same, to be honest. So now going to some substantial buffs here. Testament. So Testament 1, the sweep. The sweep now has much less horizontal blowback, meaning they are much closer to you than they were before. So here's an example from before the patch, as you can see here, as compared to now. So yeah, it's a lot closer, and that helps because we have more changes too. So Heavy Grave Reaper, specifically the second hit, like the projectile part, right? It very slightly, it's almost imperceptible, right? But it has a very slightly different kind of knockdown. And effectively what it means is just for like general combo structure, B&Bs, it just makes it easier like after the launch, especially if you do it off a sweep, to get something like just stand kick into whatever after the fact, right? So it just makes your life a lot easier. Now here's the really big change. You may have seen that, you know, some characters, their moves have now changed, that you can tech roll them. Now they can't, right? It's hard knockdown. And Testament has a change like that. The bird specifically now causes a hard knockdown. You cannot tech roll it. So at minimum, yes, that means if you're close enough, you can give them a little tap afterwards, right? That's like the least of what you want to do though. So this gives Testament all sorts of mix, all sorts of pressure that Testament did not have before. So a quick example here, like say I nab you, counter hit slash, sure, that's gonna happen, right? Oh, I got you, and we'll give you a quick little bop here, we'll bird you, and now hard knockdown. And Testament can really abuse this. Keep in mind, I can do my charge projectiles, they're super active, right? You literally have to wake up into them. Like, I can do a TK fireball, the regular fireball, like whatever it is. You just have to wake up into them, like wherever you are on screen. If I get them knocked down mid-screen, you gotta wake up into super meaty fireball, then me pressuring you after the fact. And then, with that in mind, like, okay, you wake up into meaty fireball, and depending on timing, like, it can be real meaty, right? And then, of course, Testament has guess overhead, guess low, anywhere on screen. And with staying up, this seems like a pretty good opportunity to guess dummy, especially because you'll have your teleport succubus ready to go because of the meaty fireball. And sort of writes itself after that, right? So just the pressure seems really good. I'm sure there's a lot of ways to get some really obnoxious mix. I haven't had enough time to figure it out yet, but this stuff seems really powerful. So like a simple bird knockdown gives Testament a lot. Now, Bridget, a few small changes, but decent enough. Well, one, crouch heavy slash. If you catch the opponent jump blocking it, they'll be knocked back a bit less, and I mean a bit. It's almost imperceptible. I'm not even gonna bother showing you picture in picture. Take their word for it, basically, because it's gotta be only a couple pixels, but it's there. At least they say it is. Now, one that's pretty easy to tell, though, is the roll. So you can roll and you can hold roll for the charge roll, right? Charge roll got a big, very big damage buff. So the base damage now is 55 damage. It does 58 against Lucy because she has like a worse defense modifier. But the base damage is 55. That used to be 32. So it's almost double the damage it used to have. So if you use charge roll in like any combo structures, your combos are just flat out gonna do more damage across the board. So that's always nice. And speaking of always nice, how about giving a move a new purpose? So we have the hop grab, right? And hop grab can also, you know, work in the air. The thing is now, it actually works in air with air combos. So you can like hit them with forward heavy slash to butt slam, right? And then immediately go in air grab, and it will be a combo. So just give some more use to like some basic strings, I guess, because that's not nothing, right? And the fact you can just do it in any air combo is nice. Also, if you happen to be near the corner, it will always wall break the air version in the corner now, no matter what. So that's another nice little quality of life trick here. So not much for Bridget overall, but hey, there is some stuff. Now, Sin got some changes up, and they are, a lot of them are kind of big nerfs, but we'll go into it. One of them, Jump buff here, Jump S. So Jump S has more active frames, specifically 6 active frames instead of 4. So 2 more, and a very slight hitbox adjustment here. Like I did record footage from the other build, and like it's pretty imperceptible. So it's another take their word for it. But just more active frames on jumping normal is always welcome. But here's the big one. The big nerf here is on Elk Hunt specifically. So have a gander here. This is what it used to look like, right? The idea was you can do it, follow up, be on top of them, or just even keep comboing. And now it don't work that way. So instead of the pop-up here, the knockback's quite a bit different. And if you choose to follow up after the fact with the dash, you are not getting nothing. You don't get anything mid-screen now. You just got to take it for what it is and be happy you got the hit to begin with. That's about it. That's about all. Then there's Hoof Stomp. So Hoof Stomp used to knock up a good deal more than it does here, and no longer really knocks up at all. But there's a buff here. So if it's done in the corner, it will do a bit of a wall bounce. Now here's the thing. Oh, I'll get a combo. Not quite. But there's a sweet spot. There's a sweet spot where if you get them on the right moment for the bounce, then you can follow up after the fact. So you got to be a very specific distance from the corner. So now you have some options you didn't have before. So a bit more skill based, I guess, if you want to put it that way, if you want to put positive spin on things. But that's kind of where we're at. So the big thing, yeah, Elk Hunt just got shot. So, but Hoof Stomp got a somewhat nerf, somewhat buff. Sin is a land of mixed contrasts. Now for Bedman. So Bedman, the damage modifier, like some of the other heavyweights, is a little bit different. So Bedman will take slightly, like a pixel more damage than they did before. Specifically, their damage modifier used to be 0.82. It is now 0.85. So at the end of a long combo, they'll do like a third of a jab less damage or something like that. The real change here, well, it's twofold. One, specifically Error 6E. That's where his noggin will pop off and explode, right? So for Error 6E, it's actually a pretty nice change. Specifically, it cannot leave the screen anymore. So if you're in a situation where they're high up, if it hits the wall, it'll bounce off the wall. It'll stay on the stage no matter what. So situations where like it can somehow leave the screen, even if it might otherwise miss if it's too high up, right? It can't leave the screen anymore. So if they're anywhere roughly to be hit by the explosion, they will be hit by the explosion. That's nice. And then there's the projectile. So the projectile, if it's done point blank, like literally frame 1 specifically, it now knocks down. And while the knockdown doesn't do much in and of itself, like it knocks down and creates space, sure. Since you know it's going to juggle now, like you can do RCs into like whatever juggle combos you want. So potentially opening up some combo flavor. And I've been told the pushback is slightly better on block, although from my testing, I don't know, it's kind of imperceptible. And it does have to hit on the first frame to get it, but take it for what you will. But yeah, like overall, it's some little changes, but it's interesting changes for Bedman. So for Asuka, it's some like quality of life changes mostly. Like say when you're switching your test cases, like switching your deck as it were, it's weighing different card randomness differently. I can check the patch notes for that. Certain spells like instant recover mana now recovers more mana instantly. That's nice. Low pass gravity filter. This is the one that like forces all your projectiles to like kind of bounce off the ground. So what's different here is now on top of the bounce different, it forces a big bounce on the enemy. It's the kind of bounce where like you can run full screen and follow up from. So it actually gives like more overall combo ability to your various projectiles that are affected by it, because the bounce is much more significant than the base hit that it would have before. So that makes it more valuable overall. And the spell Aquila Metron. So this used to have invincibility. It is no longer invincible, but as you saw, it freezes. Like it freezes you. Like it gives you a guaranteed combo after the fact. So maybe not invincible anymore, but like you're not relying on a random move to give you invincibility, right? But you might rely on a random move to give you the combo that might win the game. So I think that's a pretty big buff for it overall. And for bookmark, the super bookmark, where you can like kind of just change your deck up, right? It drains mana while you're doing it. It drains mana about 20% slower than it did before. That's about it. Ideally, you're not running the whole duration of this, right? Because like ideally, you get whatever cards you want, then boom, you cancel out and you minimize the drain. But the drain, as it happens, is less overall. So a lot of quality of life stuff. Asuka obviously is one of the most complex characters in the game, and by a fair bit. And that is not really changing in any way. But some of the particulars about him are a bit better around. Johnny got taken out behind the shed. Let's put it that way. So we'll start with a buff. So Stand Slash now knocks back less. So what does that mean? So if we go back to the older build of the game, right? If you were like absolute max range Stand Slash, you would not be able to combo into Heavy Slash, which could be annoying, right? And now, as long as you are connecting at all, it'll always go into Heavy Slash, no matter what. Hey, that's lovely. So, you know, okay, well, I got my move, I got my combo, maybe I'll combo into Misfiner, right? No, that's not happening no more. So this knocks back less now, right? Heavy Slash knocks back a lot more. So say you want to go into a Misfiner, right? Like, problem with that is, nah, bud. You ain't getting no Misfiner. That ain't a combo no more. Like, it might be a combo from, like, here, I guess, point blank. But if you're trying to use it as, like, a poke combo, not happening no more. So that's a nerf. I think that's very, very fair to say. And we got the nerfs. They are rolling in. So Johnny's dashes, both forward dash and back dash, both got worse. So let me give you an example here from forward dash from full screen, right? You can basically 3 dashes get to the enemy. And now, in the current build, 1, 2, 3. And like, we're close, but we're not touching. So he has less movement speed, and like his overall distance in a dash is less. So what does that mean? Well, say we did something like this, right? I can toss thing, dash in, and like before, I would be in throw distance. And now, I'm not in throw distance. And there's a lot of like little particulars of Oki and all that. Like he has pressure after the knockdown, where like if you relied on a dash for timing or spacing, it ain't gonna work the same way no more. And then there's the backdash. So backdash is now just 4 frames slower. So it used to be 18 frames. It is now 22 frames. So it's just strictly worse across the board. So Johnny is less mobile now. Say the vault move, and he can toss the card from vault, right? So now you just toss the card way later, like a lot later. You cannot do it as early as you did before. You can still do it at least. It didn't take away the ability to do it, but card toss now happens much later after the fact. And that's basically a strict nerf as well. And no uncertain points other than Stand Slash will always go into Heavy Slash now, which is admittedly nice. That's not bad. That gives you a more effective threat with the tip of your long poke. So, okay, that's good. But everything after that is nerf, 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 nerf. And Johnny got a hammer to his kneecaps, basically. He is definitely nerfed. Now, is he unplayable? Probably not, honestly. But is he more like a regular character now? Yeah, he's immortal now. Elphelt is very interesting. I guess just to put it out of the gate, the forever Rekka loop is now gone. So, like, if you just kind of looped into Slash Rekka at some point before it was over, you could always just keep looping into looping into looping into looping into looping forever. And now, no matter what, like, there's a finite end to this. Like, you cannot just loop it forever. Eventually, it'll just end, right? And of course, you know, for the other chains, like, they always were going to end regardless. But yeah, this cannot just loop into itself forever anymore. You get 2 goes after the initial start. That's it. That's all. So for, you know, people abusing newer players, that could be very frustrating. So now it will actually end at some point. Now, for an interesting change, your Heavy Slash target combo, you might remember it looks something like this. Well, it's different now. So, second hit now staggers instead of knocking down. So at minimum, you know, the move's got some range to it, right? So at minimum, you can just get some longer range combos. Like, you get a little bit more damage if you were to land it. And that's nice. That's not bad. And if you want to get a little silly, you can Roman cancel after the fact and just kind of extend your combos. And, like, you know, that's up to you if that's worth it to you or not. But since they're not knocked down, that is an option available on the table. So I file that under strict buff. And then there's the Bomb Super. So the Bomb Super has a buff and a nerf. So this is what it looked like before, right? And you may notice they're still standing, but now, after the initial hit, it knocks them down. So what does that mean? Well, before we get to that, the nerf is if you get hit now while the bomb's live, the bomb will go away. It did not go away before. So that is a marked downside, to be sure. But once again, we got that knockdown now, right? Like you're shoved down to the ground. It's a hard knockdown too. What does that mean here? At bare minimum, it gives you guaranteed pressure. Like you can go into grenade toss afterwards and they have to wake up into it. Like there's no recourse for them otherwise. On top of like, you know, that's just an option, right? You can literally run up and meet him with anything you want, like whatever you want to do. It's a hard knockdown. They're very much in reach of you. So you get pressure now when you didn't get pressure before. So there's a marked weakness to it now, but overall I think it's quite a bit stronger. So make of it what you will, I suppose, but it's certainly an interesting change. And besides that, those are the main changes for Elphelt. Abba, they like where she is. So there's only some small changes. So one of them, I guess like the biggest one is a buff, in Jealousy. And you throw someone in Jealousy, your Jealousy gauge no longer depletes. Like it would deplete before. So while you're dealing your damage, you won't just be losing your Jealousy gauge. So that is admittedly a very nice quality of life buff. And makes the throw a much more attractive option while you're in Jealousy. Another thing, and this is really small, but when you are in the move that puts you in Jealousy, and specifically the airborne version knocks you backwards, if you cancel out of that animation in any way, like say a Roman cancel, you now stop dead. Before, the momentum, even if you Roman canceled, would carry you backwards, right? So if you're looking for like a Roman cancel combo or whatever, that's now more easily available to you. And the other thing, this is definitely a nerf, but like, who knows how much. So of course, a forward kick, big stomp move in Jealousy, one of her better moves, right? So it's always been a good low crush, as it'll go over a lot of moves while coming down on you. And they nerfed the hurt box a little bit, so she's a bit closer to the ground. In that she won't be able to go over everything. But don't worry, never fret. She's still going over a lot of moves. Like, she might not go over everything, but she's still going over a lot. And that's about it. So not much changes on the ABBA front. Okay, Slayer, some interesting stuff here. So one, attack level changes. So punch, crouch punch. The attack level is up. And attack level is a bunch of Guilty Gear nonsense. But effectively, it now combos into the kick version of Mappa Hunch. It did not before. So it gives you like just a decent knockdown, some decent damage off some lights. Like that's legitimately a win. So that's really, really good. Now what's a nerf? Stomp. So stomp counter hit. There is now more blowback. So you just saw that. So here it is on the unpatched original version of the game. And you can notice that. And now we compare them side by side, and you can see here there's some distance differences here. So it's still really good, but you got to be a little closer if you want to use it the right way, right? Just don't abuse its frankly ridiculous range. And then there's Master's Hammer. That's heavy slash off of Dandy Step. So if it whiffs, and specifically only whiff, because the frame data is not different on block, but if it whiffs, it now has 24 more frames of recovery. So like if you do not connect with this move, like if they see and they jump or whatever, like you are eating crap. That's a lot more recovery. But once again, the numbers are the same on block. Like the move is plus on block, right? So that's not different. But if it whiffs specifically, then you got some problems. But then a nerf, a buff. So it now bounces up higher than it did before. Hopefully we're looking at the older build of the game here. And, you know, it bounced, sure. You got to follow to a degree, sure. But now have a gander this. Oh, I can like do a thing. And not only can you do a thing, like you can do an annoying thing, because like you can kind of loop it into itself, or like you can get gimmicky with it. Like there's some stuff going on here. Like you can work with it, and of course all the other various Dandy Step options as well, right? So you can OTG, and then you can just do it again, or like you can do it and like dash cancel, like whatever you want to do, right? So there's some stuff there. So like it got the nerf on the whiff, and for good reason, because they're giving it some more sass on offense. So not many changes for Slayer. Some of the newer characters, like, you know, they're happier where they're at, but, you know, interesting changes. Hey, so here we are with Dizzy. Dizzy has always been like kind of a struggle character, to be honest with you. So we got some good quality of life buffs, not the least of which is Crouch Slash. Got a fairly noticeable hitbox buff. So here we are in the older build of the game, and you can see at this specific distance, I'm whiffing right now. And well, now I don't. It's that simple, right? So it's appreciable. It's not like, you know, a 20% buff or nothing, right, on range, but it's enough for it to hit in a situation like this where it would just completely whiff before. So it gives the move a bit more teeth, right? It's more reliable to intercept people as a decent range Crouch Slash. Now, another buff, Ice Pillar, also known as I used to catch, yes, it's called I used to catch fish. We call it Ice Pillar. Anyways, the clash level has increased, meaning when it's up against other projectiles where it might lose or trade, it will now otherwise outright win. So I have an example here against Testament, and Testament's doing charged projectile, and in this situation, they would clash. They would just destroy each other, right? And now in that same scenario, Ice Pillar wins. So like it'll meet the other projectile, destroy it, and then still persist. And it still persists all the way to the bank. Because not only is the clash level better, right? It's out there for way more active frames. So it's out there now for 36 frames, like 36 frames where it can hit the enemy. Used to be 16. So that's a very, very big deal. That's out there for more than double what it used to be. Also, when it connects, it will knock back just a little bit less than it did before. So if you get that freeze, you just got a little bit more time to run forward and hit him with a button. And like, that's nice. And we're going to talk to our next buff here, because this buff leads directly into our next buff. So we got Michael Sword. And by the way, I am a Michael. So I'm a big fan of Michael Sword, right? So Michael Sword no longer gives you a tech. And this is specifically the slash version of the move, by the way. So it no longer gives you tech. So you just hit the ground, you hit the ground. There's no tumble. There's no tech. There's no nothing. And if there's no tumbles, no techs, well, by the rules of Guilty Gear, that means OTG. And wait a second here. What? Did you see that? Hang on a second. Did you catch that? Noticed how the pillar's out for so long, and then only when Testament stands up do they get hit. Like, if I timed it right, I could make this a 2-hit combo, right? I could. But if I just delay it ever so slightly and use those bonus active frames we got, they have to wake up into the pillar, because the pillar is just so overwhelmingly active, and they just gotta deal with it. Like, rest assured, they absolutely get the block. That's fine. Please block. And while you're blocking, I'm gonna set up shop for free and you can't stop me. Or you know what? I can have some fun with this, right? I can melt that bad boy right after the fact too, and then we can play around with those ice shenanigans, right? So however you want to play it, like Michael Sword now with the pillar and the buff from the pillar, right? You just get more options to work around with. So in my opinion, these are straight buffs. This all works out great. Okay, now Venom. Venom, a little bit of a struggle character, recently came out not too long ago, and they gave him a lot to work with. Not the least of which, you know, obviously setting up the balls, as it were, big part of the game plan. And pretty much every jumping normal has a new hitbox only for hitting the balls. So it just makes it a lot easier to just do your tricks, do your gimmicks with them. But now let's show a very direct buff. Like, hey, you know, stand punch, we use that to hit the balls, as it were. And we see here under the older build how this would work. And like, it was whatever. And now, look at the difference. It travels a lot further, a lot further. Hopefully here we got a little picture-in-picture just to give you an idea, just at the relative distance of the two. Like that's pretty far. Also, wait a second. Isn't this one out for a lot longer than the other one? Yes, it is. So, when a ball is placed and it is then struck, it is out now for a lot longer for the follow-up. It used to be on the screen just for 120 frames, so 2 seconds. It is now on the screen for 300 frames, so it's almost 3 times as long. So it gives you just that much more time to like do some kind of follow, do some sort of set play, do something of consequence with them. Once again, it's almost 3 times longer than it was. Also, they do more damage. So they used to do 30, now they do 40. Testament has different defense values, so it's 39, but you get the idea, right? They now just do more damage, and that's actually across the board. And that's the thing across the board. A lot of moves are doing more damage. Like Carcass Raid, initial hit now does more damage as well. Does 30 from 15. Same for the air version. Initial hit also does more damage as well. So basically, kind of everything involved with the thing he's supposed to be doing anyways is just better across the board. Venom's harder than he did before. So that's really, really good. More buffs too. Crouch Heavy Slash. Now, when it launches you, it leaves them much closer to you than it did before. So here's a, not optimal or anything, but an example combo where I would do the thing, I'd launch them, and the follow-up Heavy Slash would whiff. And now, well, it ain't gonna whiff. Like, they're so close, I can still get it after the fact. So that means new combo structures, potentially more optimal damage. Once again, like, things are just getting better. Also, an interesting change here. Carcass Raid, the charge down up version. So, the held version, before it would like launch that pool ball like out of orbit, right? And now the charge version is slow. And it's nice enough to still leave it on the screen so you can use it after the fact. So that just giving you more utility, I guess. But yeah, so it's like buff, 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 buff. Pretty much everything for Venom is buffed. And there's some even the smaller things that are in the patch notes I'm not even going to go over because it's not worth full discussion. Check it out in the patch notes yourself if you want. But yeah, so Venom is eating good. Unika just got bug fixes. She's too new. Ooh, there we got it. That's another long video for you folks. I'm making too many long videos lately. Please like the video. These videos are death to make. But yeah, so very, very good patch in my opinion. Overall, like, yes, okay. Some people got hit. Like we're gonna sugarcoat it. But overall, like, I think it's good buffs for most of the cast. Overall, especially with the universal changes, it increases the quality of life for most of the cast and it just makes the game a better game. I think this is a good patch. Guilty Gear is a franchise known for bad patches, okay? Let's get real about it. But this isn't one of them. This is a good patch. And of course, hey, we got ranked online now. Hey, we got a cool new guest character. Hey, we got Wi-Fi filters. We got all sorts of new things on top of the balance changes, which are plenty good. And once again, there's a bunch of like small things I didn't go over because it's not worth bearing in terms of like bug fixes and just small little particulars. Check the video description. The full patch notes are linked there if you want to go through every little detail. But overall, for me, as patch guy, this is a thumbs up patch. Guilty Gear's done a bunch of, like Strive specifically, it's done a bunch of patches where like of little to no consequence or like arguably moving the game backwards a little bit. But this is a good, strong step forward, especially because next up we're getting weird, right? Like I guess it's next year sometime, but then we're going to Guilty Gear Strive 2.0. And what does that even mean? We got 2 more characters coming up. Looks like it's going to be Jam and Robokai. I guess one of them, Robokai, would go to the right of Venom. Jam could go to the left of Dizzy, I guess, and we'd have a full slot, a full roster. But even then, we'd still have a little bit more room. And then you could argue, what if they just redo the character select screen? Who says Guilty Gear ends at Guilty Gear Strive 2.0? So we'll see where the game keeps on going. But for now, that's it for the video. Once again, it's a long video. Please leave a like. Helps out a lot. Really, it truly does. But that's it for me. That's it for the video. And, well, that's it. So thank you very much for watching. Hope this video has found you well. And go out and play some fighting games. And some Guilty Gear. I'm not going to re-record that. Usually I would say Guilty Gear. But play fighting games and Guilty Gear. Do both.
Like